Hi, my name is Sam and welcome to Carve's Performance Garage. On this video, we're going to be continuing building Mr. EJ. There's not too much left, so there won't be too many more videos of this series, and it means that I will be able to focus more on the current stuff that I am doing to the car. But let's get into the episode, and I hope you enjoy it. As you could just see in the last clip, I finished up installing the catch can drain valve. I do want to in the future develop some sort of way where I can use a reusable fastening instead of a zip tie to clamp it in and clamp it out. But the biggest thing, it also needs to be accessible from the wheel arch, because I would like to have the catch can where I can easily drain it at the racetrack without having to jack the car up. But next on the list, I need to replace the coolant expansion tank. One thing many people realize when they upgrade to a thicker radiator in the WRX, that the stock expansion tank starts to hit on the timing case. Now, you can run it like that and it will work, but personally I don't like it looking like that, and the fact that it is hitting the timing case will A, damage it cosmetically, B, there could eventually be a rub through and it's just a failure point. So I've decided to upgrade to something a bit different. Only thing with this, I need to make some custom mounting to mount this in place. Hopefully you can see what I'm explaining, but basically the stock timing case, because of the fan shroud, there's not that good of mounting and it rubs on the AC line, it touches the timing case and just doesn't look good. So this will be able to fit in quite nicely. So I think the plan is I'm going to put some riv nuts in the fan shroud and basically have that holding a bracket that will then hold the expansion tank. I should be able to use just two. I think that will be strong enough with a nice decent sized bracket. I may also need to bend the bracket in a way so it clears absolutely everything. So just test fitting it in place. I shouldn't have to make a bracket that bends it out of the way, as it shouldn't hit the AC line as it's really tight. So I think the first step is to probably mark out where the holes should be and where it kind of lines up. Another big thing is I need to be able to easily remove the expansion tank so I can pull the radiator in and out. So I think that if I have it sitting up here, which that should clear the bonnet, should be able to get a socket in there or at least a spanner. If I tilt it on an angle, I should be able to remove the rear bolts that will hold it in place really easily. Or alternatively, I can remove the headlight, which honestly is not that big of a job. First, I'm going to mark it up, then I'm going to remove the fan shroud. And once the fan shroud is removed, I will be able to drill everything and make the bracket. So it shouldn't be too hard to do. I may take the headlight out just to make it a bit easier, but that's no big deal at all. So let's start removing everything. Actually, scrap what I just said about removing the fan shroud first. I'm going to quickly put all the related fittings on here, just so it means that I can make sure that there's enough clearance, because just looking at it, there may not be, but we'll have a look, and once all the fittings are on, I'll get an idea of how much clearance there actually is. Alright, with that all jotted down. So the way I'm making the bracket, if you look at my terrible diagram, is basically that's what's going to connect to the radiator. So I put them in 2 different locations just to help with strength of it pulling. And then basically I've got this flat sheet that the holes should be mounted, but it just depends on how much of a bend, because I'm going to need to definitely bend it multiple times so I can make sure it is 100% perfect. So basically it will be bent up, and once that's in place, I'll be able to also go through and mark out the holes, get them drilled, and also shorten this and maybe cut away some of that just to make it look a bit better. So let's mark this out on the metal. We'll get it cut out, and then what I'll also do, I'll put the flat sheet of steel through the glass blaster first before I do any more work, like any more marking or folding. So let's transfer this onto the piece of steel and get it ready. So it's all marked out, so I'm going to quickly cut it all out off camera, and it will be cut out now. So it's all cut out, I just need to quickly file and make that corner a bit better. But once I've quickly done that, then we'll chuck it in the blasting cabinet and get it all nice and clean. Then we can start marking it up and getting it fit. So after spraying this in the glass blasting cabinet, it came out really nice and shiny. So now I've just got to mark where the holes need to go. And once I've marked where those holes need to go, then I can cut out the area where it would hit the fan. I designed it so it would go as close to the fan as possible, just so there's as much strength there. So I just got to mark and drill the holes. Once that's done, I can go through and mark where I need to cut. I'll use the die grinder for that. And then I can mount it, make sure it fits, and then we can start bending to fit the tank. So let's mark it, drill it, and of course, cut it out. So the bracket fits really good. Definitely one thing I need to improve on is my measuring to make sure everything is square, but that's something that I know for a fact I'll be able to learn, and it will take a bit of time and experience to really perfect that. So anyway, I'm going to chuck the shroud back into the car now that this is all done. I'm just looking at the clearance from the back and it won't hit the radiator. So I will be all set. Once it's in the car, we'll be able to see what angle this needs to be bent at so we can fit the tank in. So let's chuck it in. So now that the reservoir is in there and the bracket's in there, I actually don't need to make that much of a bend. I could, in theory, just leave it so the bracket is flat, but even then it gets very close to the AC hardline, and if I even bend it 5-10 degrees, it will have so much more clearance from there. So definitely going to spend the extra few minutes just to give it a quick bend. Once it's bent, then I can mark up the holes, get them drilled, and I'll be able to mount it all. Plus, one thing I'm surprised about, there's enough clearance with this bracket here that I'll be able to easily remove the top tank without having to take the headlight out, because I can access the bolts from behind, plus then the bolts from the front, I can also easily access them. So let's pull this out, bend it, drill some holes in it and mount the tank, and then we can test fit it and see if it is 100%. As you can see, it fits in there perfectly. There is a small gap in between the timing case, but that's not the end of the world, as when the engine is under acceleration, it tips back, so it won't hit it at all. There's enough room here. Looks like I can easily, well, not easily, but I can stick my hand down there, loosen these two bolts and get them back on. But it's also easy enough to just grab these out, so whenever I do need to take the radiator out, I'll be able to easily take the overflow out to maximize all the serviceability. So the next step, I'm going to give the bracket a very quick prep, and then I'm just going to paint it black. I'm just going to give it a sand and then degrease it and spray it. I'll see what paint I have around, but I actually don't think I have that much automotive paint, but I'm sure I'll be able to find something. But quickly, before I actually do paint and prep this, I'm going to get the hose size 100%, so it means that all of that's done, and all I'll be waiting on is for that to dry, and then I can install it and that will all be done. So I'm going to quickly take this out because I need to add an extra fitting down the bottom. I'll go get some of the hose and cut it to size. So everything's now back together. I'm just waiting for the bracket to dry. It should hopefully be pretty dry soon. But in the meantime, I just quickly went through, I double checked some things just to make sure that nothing was wrong, no bolts were loose. And the next thing that I'm going to tackle is I'm going to put the front bumper on and install the guard liners. So I'll chuck the front bar on, then we'll go to the wheel well and we'll pick it up from there. Alright, so the bracket's done. As you can see, it's nice and black. Not the best paint job, but you know, it's black now, so that's all that really matters. So I'm just going to attach everything up, bolt it onto the car, and then we can finish off plumbing it in, and the whole coolant system will be completed. So let's bolt it in. So it's all painted up and it's finally done. Only problem I have is this hose ideally would be an AN5, but you can't really find AN5 fittings anywhere. It's really difficult. So I tried to expand it to an AN4, so I think eventually I'm going to need to buy some sort of just brass expander to just put in the middle of the line here, just so I can get the hose on more securely. Because the problem with this now is over time, the hose will get hard and it'll be really difficult to take off, and I'll have to trim a little bit, and then the next time I have to trim a little bit to the point where basically I need to then replace the hose, and that's more of a pain in the ass than just buying a little expander thing and doing it right. So I'll add that to my list, and at least this is all done now. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please hit the like button below. And if you are enjoying my content, please consider subscribing. If you have any comments, feedbacks, or suggestions, please leave them down in the comments section below. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at 07carves. Again, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, keep on learning.